Hey, Be It listener, how are you? Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're going to have some fun. This is definitely for my ladies in there. And Taylor Carr is our guest this week. She reached out to me and I just saw such a Be It Till You See It story that I wanted to have her on and share that with you. And she is really like, not only is she now seeing what she was being before, but she is helping other women do the same. And so if you have been struggling, if you are like, I get it, but you are like holding back, I think this will be a really fun interview to help you step into that power and help you step into that thing. And I really think you're going to enjoy it. I had some fun. I learned a lot of stuff. I love it. And I just want to say, like, it's okay to listen to all of this and have really good ideas and really good thoughts, and then either forget it, be overwhelmed, or not take the action. I don't want any one of you to ever shame yourself for listening and then not taking action, because the reality is that you're actually putting all this really good stuff into your brain, and there will be a day when it just freaking clicks, when you're like, this is the day. And I think, it's a lot to put pressure on yourself, added pressure on yourself to be perfect and do the things that we're telling you to do that sound really good to you. We're not perfect, and that's boring. Remember, that's what we say around here. Action does bring clarity, though. So what I would say is ditch the perfection and take the action as you're ready towards the person you're wanting to be. And it doesn't have to be a lot. And you'll hear Taylor say that. I asked her a question about like what to do when you're overwhelmed, when you're busy. And I really loved her answer to that. So I can't wait for you to hear it. But I just had to say that because I do think it's really easy to start avoiding good, solid, awesome advice because you're like, well, I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to I'm wasting their time. You're never wasting our time, and the reality is that all these doses of goodness, they get into your brain. And then one day they change your thoughts, which change your beliefs, which changes what you do. And so I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for listening to each and every episode. Thank you for telling me your bold moments. You can always DM those bold moments to the Be It pod on Instagram. We want to share those with people. We want to inspire people how you're being it till you see it. And thanks for sending this to a friend, because we grow because of you. And I'm so, so grateful. And today's guest happened because of this podcast. She heard it. She had a story. And I was like, that's a Be It thing. So I'm really grateful. And now, without further ado, except for that little ado that happens between now and the guest, Taylor Carr. Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. All right, Be It listener. I got Taylor Carr here, and I'm really excited to have you because we have talked about hypnotherapy in the past with a past guest, but the way you've used it has been incredible. And y'all, I can't wait for you to hear her whole story, because what she has been able to do in her life is literally be it till she sees it. And she's embodying it and teaching women how to do the exact same. I've been looking at what she's been doing on Instagram, and it's really cool. So Taylor, thank you for being here. Can you please tell everyone who you are and what you're rocking at right now?
Lesley, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited, especially to be kicking off the new year with you. So thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Taylor Carr. I am a manifestation coach and a feminine success mentor. So what I do is I help women manifest the life that has been pinned to their vision board for way too long. And I do so using practices that are very spiritual, but also that are very scientific, like clinical hypnotherapy. And that means rewiring the subconscious to make money, an easier, more delicious thing in your life, to make love something that doesn't seem so far away, to make the success that you want completely tailored to you and not this like patriarchal version of what we think that we're supposed to want.
Oh my, right. Like everyone's like, okay, I'm so sorry. What, you're going to help me take the vision board and be the thing. Like, I think that's really cool. Can you How did you start doing that? Because that is not something like, first of all, that's not on a kindergartner's like vision board. Like, I'm going to be a manifestation coach, like, so, and maybe it is if your mom was one, but like, how did that come about? How did you come into this role in your life?
So in kindergarten, no, just kidding. In kindergarten, I learned about the law of attraction. No, so what happened was, long story short, in my early 20s, I was diagnosed with an incurable pain disease called interstitial cystitis. It completely affects the bladder, the womb, the yoni, all of these beautiful spaces. And it just completely took away my womanhood, is what it felt like. Like I was 21, I moved to a new city, Los Angeles. I was just like, I wanted to get out there. I wanted to date. I wanted to do all the things. And I couldn't do any of it. I couldn't drink. I had to be a complete raw vegan. And even that was super limited because I was allergic to citrus and caffeine and gluten and all the things. So I was really eating just kale, if I'm honest, and celery. And I was going through all these treatments, and through our medical system, I saw that there was nothing there for me. I was going through really invasive treatments. My legs were open for all these different doctors that were poking and prodding at me, and I was like nothing's happening, nothing's working. I'm still in extreme pain. It was so traumatic. It was so shameful. And I just remember I went into my doctor's office on the fifth treatment, and it was so embarrassing. The liquid fell out of me in the what's it called? The waiting room.
Oh gosh.
The waiting room in front of people while I was leaving. And they were like, your treatments aren't really working. We could put you on this medication, but you might lose your hair, and there's no evidence that it'll work. And I was like, what? That's not a result. That's not helpful. So I remember I came home and I turned on my little HP computer camera, and I was like, hello, YouTube. YouTube was pretty new at the time. I was like, hello, YouTube. My name is Taylor Carr. I have interstitial cystitis. I'm going to heal this naturally, or I'm going to die trying, is basically what my first video said. Wow. And I just documented myself trying to heal myself from this incurable pain disease. And what I found was, not only was it the diet that helped me, but more so the mindset. It was the deep rewiring of my own feminine lineage, the trauma that was in my family, the sexual abuse, all of this stuff that was literally causing pain in the place where my family had had pain and trauma and shame and all of this stuff. So that's where it began. And as I went through my journey, I was just seeing little elements here and here, felt like full spiritual awakening definitely comes from, being ill and not knowing if you're going to survive it. And interstitial cystitis, to be fair, does not kill you, but the pain of it has taken a lot of lives. Yeah. And so I was just like, if I can heal myself from this, other people can do the same. And I was coaching people around the world for free. And I got my, I started seeing a hypnotherapist because I became a hypochondriac. Every little pain was oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to get some other illness. Right, and I saw the power of that. And then the spirituality, the manifestation portions, and all of it. I was life gets to be so much easier than what we've been told. So many of us are walking around with these illnesses and these pains and the shame and the trauma and all of the things, but we're never taught to be present. We're never taught to be grateful. We're never taught to be here and now. And as women, it's even bigger. It's even worse because we're actually just told to sit down, shut up, be pretty, smell nice, all the things.
Don't brag. Don't talk about those embarrassing things. Don't talk about your cystitis because that's going to that might make someone uncomfortable. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a man tell me, you really shouldn't talk about your illness so much because nobody wants to love a sick girl. And I was like, nobody wants to love a sick girl? This is my body. This is my life, So it was quite the magical journey. And I'm so grateful. Interstitial cystitis was the best thing that ever happened to me because it opened me up to more pleasure, more love, more life.
Well, that's what's so interesting is I think, it's really hard to say it to someone who's going through something like what you're going through, but truly trying to own it and believe that whatever is happening for you, right? Whatever's happening is happening for you, and that you wouldn't be on this journey. You probably wouldn't, maybe you would have discovered some of these things along the way because you seem like a very curious person, but to literally be living the life that you're living and being this person and taking people on a journey, you would not have explored all of those things or even understood them to the depths you do because you had to hit not a rock bottom, but a traumatic, a very painful space. And I do think they always say there's like, it's the darkest before the light, right? Like the eye of the storm is like all those things. They're not cliches for no reason. They actually are because people have gone through this. And what I think is so interesting is, what you're doing now, like what you proclaimed on YouTube, right? Is like, you literally were being it till you saw it. Like, you're like, I'm going to do this. I don't even know what this is. I'm going to do this. And I think so many people get stuck on like, but I don't know what the next step is. And you didn't really have a next step. You just were like, I'm marking this in the sand. This is what I'm going to start going as. And then you took the next steps as you could. And I really hope people heard that in your story, because it is not easy to do that. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. It might have been the easiest thing you did probably along your journey, was proclaiming to YouTube. But thank you for sharing this, because I do think there's a lot of women who have something going on in their bodies that they're either afraid to talk about, don't talk about, think that someone won't love them if they talk about it. But really, like, as women, there's so many things that as we talk about them, I had stomach issues for so long. And when I actually started talking about them, I found out everyone had stomach issues, and everyone is covering them up, and everyone's not dealing with it, because no one wants to talk about gas and diarrhea and all that stuff. But like, and I understand when you said like became a hypochondriac. It took me a long time to understand that having a gas pain didn't mean I was going to have the same stomach issues again. Like, it's like, actually, no, you just ate too much. Like, that's normal. Yeah. That's a normal digestive process. So I can understand becoming a little bit like on the edge of it. So, okay. Your curiosity took you down this path. When you meet with women who are, I don't want to say playing it safe or holding themselves back, because I think they're just being what they were told to be. But like, when you're seeing women not step into their amazingness, what do you tell them? Like, what do you need to hear? What does that look like?
There's so many things, because I also come from a very traumatic background. Of course, this is the illness piece, and it was, the abuse, the drug addiction. I lost a parent at 15 to drug abuse, like the codependency. We were homeless after he died. Like, all of these things I realized played into like the perfectionism, the being really small, playing it safe, all of that. And so, it's so funny. My clients always joke that they have like a little quote. They're like, I spank you. Because I'm always like, I spank you. But I always tell them like, who is your inner bad girl? And why have we locked her away? Why do we make her be bad? Why do we think that the things that she has to say, the feelings that she feels, her desires, why do we think that she's bad? I ask my clients, let her out of the closet, have tea with her, sit with her, find out why she wants what she wants. Because if our bad girl is in the closet, or I also like to call her the lioness, if she's in the closet, then you're not being all of you. You're not being whole. And to be the whole woman you want to be, to create the success you want to be multidimensional, you have to be all of it. You have to be bad, good, sexy, dark, light, like all of it. It's important.
Well, it is 100%. And I can totally understand, like, compartmentalizing and going, oh, well, what will people say? What will people think if I like all that stuff? And, you've brought up the trauma, and we've had some guests who work with those who've gone through trauma in different ways as guests. And one of the things that's so interesting is that people are starting to actually look at trauma. They're actually starting to like understand it in a different way. Like, there's an amazing book, What Happened to You. And like, the more I read that, I like want to reread it, although I've just finished it. It's like somebody was asking my dog, like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, it's actually what happened to him. Like, we should probably wonder what happened to him. And like, because people become people pleasers based on what happened to them. People become perfectionists and they're because of what happened. And like, all those things happen. And then there's all the stuff you talked about, like ancestral trauma, like stuff that went through your parents that came into you. And so it is not for like a random reason that this happened to you. It's because of all of those things that happen. And then because you're a human being, everyone else is at different times having those same things, and they're locking things away. Like, oh, when I did this happened. So I won't do that anymore. I won't be that anymore, because then people won't like me, or people will leave, or people might pass away. So, so I do love that you have the bad girl they have to have tea with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, in your journey of doing this, what have you seen women be able to do once they step into that power? Like, what are some of the transformation stories you've seen?
I have seen women ask for a raise at work by multiple thousands of dollars and get it. I have seen women rise into leadership. I was just having this conversation with my client earlier. I'd actually love to share it here.
Yeah.
She had a very difficult meeting. She's a manager at a tech company, and she had a very difficult conversation with a man in his 60s who wanted to challenge her. And she was like, I need to bring the spice and the lion and the fire and the bad girl and all of the things. And I was like, listen, you're powerful already. Like, we don't have to be bitchy and spicy and all these things. Like, your bad girl is for you and you can unleash it however you want. But at the same time, like, when you are calm in your power, when your nervous system is relaxed in your power, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. And that's the thing that I really want to like drive home is like, you don't have to prove yourself. You're enough as you are. You're powerful as you are. You've done your training. You've done your work. If you find yourself in a position of getting defensive, then you don't believe that you're actually powerful. So that's
not even being it. Like, that's like playing another role. Is actually what
exactly. So that was a really powerful moment for her today. I have seen one of my clients left her teaching job and then immediately manifested a trip to Mexico with her dream job, where she got paid to like be a photographer for these beautiful women on a business retreat in Mexico. And now she's doing it full time, completely. She was booked out through the end of last year.
Wow.
Let's see, anyone else? I mean, there's so many. I'm like, okay, who could I pull from?
Okay, those are amazing. Okay, so for the person who's like, wait, how do I manifest? Like 101 manifestation, what do you got?
Manifestation 101, it's all about your frequency, right? It's all about your energy. And this is where your subconscious mind is really playing. It's really at play because we have these programs. Our computer, or our brain is a computer, and it runs these programs every single day. And we become really, really used to, oh, like I look fat. Oh, I don't look good. Oh, there's not enough money. Oh, like these are on repeat. So the first thing that I would have anybody do is just take a look at your thoughts, because your thoughts create your feelings create your reality. And make no mistake, you are always creating your reality, which is like amazing and also super sucks when we're not super in control of our minds. Right. But it always comes down to like, look at your thoughts and what do you choose to think instead? I can look in the mirror and think like, oh, my pores are so big and I wish that my double chin was smaller or whatever, or I can choose to think like, wow, I'm good enough as I am. Like, I am beautiful as I am, and focus on something else. It's really where you focus is where expands in your life. So choose differently. And that doesn't mean we won't go through experiences that are hard. That doesn't mean the shadow doesn't exist. It absolutely does. But it's how you choose to rise. It's how you choose that you deserve something. It's how you choose that you belong somewhere.
100%. I mean, like because thoughts become facts. We have to be careful what we believe, because whatever we believe, like we're like, that's a fact right there. And it's like, actually, like, so I always like to look for evidence of what I believe to be true. And so like one of the things that I struggled with is like a fear of success, and which is like a thing that people are like, why don't you be afraid of that? I'm like, well, it's a thing actually. When you're raised to think like, don't brag because people won't like you. And then also like, you don't see people in your family or your life like rise to these big things. You actually don't see women create these. Now we do, but I didn't grow up with that. So I have to like really retrain like the thought. So I like look for evidence. So when I just heard Beyond Yoga sold for $400 million to Levi's, like a female owner, I'm like, way to go, lady. I'm like, I read Jamie Kern Lima. I'm like, woo, $1.1 billion. Love it. Like, I'm like all the ladies like making billions. I'm like, okay, look at all these women who started from nothing, who didn't have that. Cause like you have to look for the evidence so that you can change your thoughts, so that you can change your feelings, so you can change your reality. And it's true. Like if you wake up feeling sick, then what do you say? Like, oh, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Instead of like, this part of me doesn't feel very well right now. And we start to act like we're sick, and then we don't have energy, and we don't have the capacity to make things. But if you're just like, oh, I'm actually having the sniffles right now, this is not feeling really good. You can actually change. You can actually still have control over something. You're not how you feel. So I love that, because it makes the manifesting even easier, because it's not like, oh, I want this. It's like, what are the thoughts that I'm playing in my head? What's the program that's running, so that I can have the feeling, so that I can actually take the actions from those feelings that make the thing I want to have happen. Love that. Okay.
Yes.
So, you said something earlier I want to go back to, and it's not coming to my head right away. So, we'll come back to that. But, Taylor, I think for a lot of people, they get stuck in well, that's so nice for them. I'm really busy. I've got a lot going on. I've got all these bills to pay. I've got, For the very busy person, for the person who's overwhelmed, and this sounds lovely, but this sounds like a dream world. What is the 5-minute version of it? Like, is there a small, like, can they dip their toe in? Is there a way that that you can knock the first domino forward for them? Like, what does that look like?
I think that for those types of people, it's pleasure in the small things, so if you're walking to your car and you're like running late or whatever, can you take a moment to like look around and see the cloud formations in the sky and get really present of like, that is really beautiful? Or, smell a flower. It's, a common saying, stop and smell the roses, right? Or like a butterfly flies by and that becomes something sacred, because the truth is that we are in a busy world and things are chaotic, and, and there's a pandemic and there's all the things and it's a lot and all the politics. But if you can just take a moment to remember why life is beautiful every day, that really could be enough.
Oh, love that. That is yes. I really can't wait for like the sun to start rising earlier, because my favorite thing to do on a walk is to watch the sun come up, no matter how low it is. I just love to see the colors. And right now I've been doing my walks. I'm like, the sun is not up until I get on the Peloton. This is not fun for me. Like I don't want to notice the sun on my Peloton. I want to notice the sun when I'm outside. Anyways, this is my own thing that I have to work on. Okay. I remember what it was. Clinical hypnosis.
Yes.
For the person who is still believing that hypnosis is, the quacking like a dog and all the stuff that we've all been seeing on whatever. We're raised about that on like the Maury Povich show. What is clinical hypnosis, and like, how do you know that you need it? Why would you seek it out?
Yeah. So stage hypnosis is just completely different. It's like a performance act, and it's amazing, and it's not the same process at all. It's completely different. So what I do, the clinical hypnotherapy piece of this, it really is like you're going into the deepest meditation of your life. Your whole body becomes very, very calm. This is great for people who are like anxious or they're really struggling to like slow down. Your body gets extremely calm. Your brain switches into alpha and then to theta wavelength, which is like that wavelength right before you're asleep, right? And when you're in that wavelength and you're so relaxed and so peaceful and you feel really safe, your subconscious mind is able to come forward and really absorb in a new way. The line between the conscious and the subconscious dissolves. So what I do when I get them into this state, which takes roughly 20 minutes of like different visualizations and practices, I then regurgitate the words back to their subconscious mind that they've told me they want to feel. So most of the time I see the fear of success. I see like there's never enough money. I see, like I'm not lovable or I'm not worthy, like the amount of imposter syndrome in women, like every single woman has it, right? So it's that like you tell me what you want to feel, and then I help you feel it on autopilot.
Well, because the subconscious, like the subconscious is so malleable. You can tell the subconscious anything, but the problem is that we just let the subconscious tell us what we've told it before.
Yeah. And it totally is running the show. It's doing everything. Every single time that you think a thought that's like, oh, I'm not good enough to do this, it's because you learned it somewhere else, in maybe in your childhood or in your teen years, and it got stuck in there, and you really believe it now because it's been playing so much. So that's why it does take more. I mean, you can get results after one session, but I always say like 3 to 6, because 3 to 6 times of me telling your subconscious mind how deeply worthy and beautiful and magnetic and radiant you are, you're going to walk into any room feeling that way, and you're not even going to have to try.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that maybe I need that. Part of me, so you're working so hard. I'm doing so many amazing things. I want to know, like, what are you actually working on being right now? Like, what are you stepping into right now? Can you share?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I did, I'm currently sick, entering this new year sick, which I totally manifested because my word for this year was health. And so my body was like, let's get it out of the way now. I was like, thanks, body. But what I'm working on being is, how do I share this? I haven't shared this yet, actually. This year for me is less about money and numbers, and it's more about impact and influence. Mm-hmm. So my work right now is really embodying the celebrity archetype, which is something that I embodied at the beginning of last year when my business went from $0 to $8,000 and $9,000 months within the span of just a few weeks. The celebrity archetype is one of my 5 feminine manifestation archetypes. And it's really about being the woman who is unapologetic about exactly what she wants and going to get it. And it's the woman who's not afraid to be spiritual and, you know, connected to the universe and all of these things, balancing my chakras, but also kind of being a bad bitch and wanting to wear sequins and glitter and drink champagne and be all of it at the same time and still allow that to be sacred. Yeah. And, you know, I want to have the type of business that I want. I want to have the type of money that I want. I want to have the nice things that I want and not shaming myself for it. So this year is all about stepping into my celebrity, stepping into that energy of like, I do more podcasts. I get on stages. I do keynote speaking. I get in magazines and articles, less selling on Instagram, less of that hustle, and more of being the woman I want to be and having massive impact.
That's really cool. So I do want to type, so don't let me forget. I want to know what the other archetypes are, because I think people are like, wait, what are there 5? Let me know.
Yes.
But so what you're doing, what you're saying, if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like right now that you're like, you're actually making sure that you're being those things. Like each day you're trying to do one of those things so you can continue to make your reality that celebrity archetype. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, it's being her now. I have this little story that I tell, and I talk about how like I was always chasing my future self. I was always like trying to catch up to her, and the way that I see her in my head is this woman, this glowing, radiant woman in a room filled with people wearing black, and she's wearing red. And I'm like, the woman in the red dress. How do I become the woman in the red dress? And one day I was like, oh, I just put the red dress on. So every day I'm putting the red dress on. Are
you playing the song, Lady in Red?
Yeah.
You know this? You might be too young. I'm old.
I don't know. We might be close to the same age.
That's I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I was just today in this moment, I was like, I'm just gonna ask people what they're being right now. Just like why are we not doing that? Duh, Les. That's like what this podcast is. Okay, so other archetypes. So that in case people are like, oh, that celebrity one sounds really great, but like maybe what are the other ones?
Yeah, so they are made up of the romantic, the chemist, the lioness, the seductress, and the celebrity.
Okay, very cool. So the one that stood out to me, what's the chemist? This one sounds really cool.
The chemist. Yeah, so the chemist archetype is actually the number one archetype that people get when they take my quiz. But the chemist archetype is the woman who like, they know manifestation is real. They know the woo-woo is real, but like they really need that tangible scientific evidence. They're more into like listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza and listening to like quantum science and like really trying to understand the why that this is happening versus the magic is happening. And that's wonderful. It's like, no, I need the concrete evidence, but I know it's real, but show me the evidence.
So Joe Dispenza is on my Audible right now, and
yeah, he's a chemist. He's all the way to chemist.
And I'm like, love this guy, love it. He's saying everything I believe. Perfect. I just need I definitely like just give me that, like just a little bit of evidence because I think like sometimes I'm like. Oh, I know this stuff. And then I find the book that actually validates that. And I'm like, oh, well, perfect. Now there's actually science. So sometimes I just like to have the science because I'm like, I don't want to be the savant. I want to, actually like when someone challenges me, I go, well, just read Joe Dispenza. He's like really awesome. Okay. So the seductress and the lioness, quick, what are those?
The lioness is like the CEO. She is like loving, fierce, that ferocious energy. She's all the way a leader. She's all about compassionate, empathetic, feminine leadership. So that's like everything is done with love. No matter how ferocious it is, it always comes back to love. She loves nice things. She has the designer handbag. She likes the private jets.
I'm the lion. I am the lioness, and I want to be the lioness because we're saving it for I am, because I'll just tell you why. Not that you don't know this about me already, y'all. We don't have a car because I keep telling my husband not until I can have the electric G-Wagon that they're going to come out with. And I'm just going to have that, and I'm having before I'm 40. And everyone's like, you don't even like to drive. I'm like, I'll like driving that. I will love driving that. So they're coming with an electric version. I want the G-Wagon. I like to sit up tall. And yes, I will have my Celine and my Louis Vuitton with my sandals and my ripped jeans.
Yes. Lioness vibes all the way.
Okay. So I think that's the one that I have to step into for this year. So thank you so much. I'm going to have to look her up. You must have her on your website. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The quiz is on there.
Perfect. So then there, Seductress, and there was one other. What are those?
Okay, so the seductress is what we call the highest level archetype. And it's funny because you wouldn't think that, but you kind of have to go through all the archetypes to be comfortable in your seductress. I believe that the seductress is the closest to God. I believe that her body, her sexuality, her experience, she leads with it. She manifests with it. She has the universe really like craving to provide for her. And this is the type of woman who she radiates confidence. She is all of it. She is orgasmic and proud. She is sexy and proud. She's connected to God. She's connected to her body. And she really is special. She's difficult to get to. She takes the most work to heal. And that's why we call her the highest level. The romantic is the other one. And a lot of people go, I got the romantic. Well, I don't I don't want to do love stuff right now. I just want money. But I always challenge them because I believe that love is actually the center of money. I believe that love is the center of all things in the feminine experience. So for the woman who's able to soften and see that love is a beautiful thing, and she would rather, take a beautiful stroll down, the block during sunset and like drink her, her coffee, and it's slow and it's beautiful, and she loves the berries at the farmer's market. That's really the romantic. She's very present. She's very soft.
Very good. Thank you for walking through all of those. I think so. You're stepping into the celebrity archetype this year. I'm going to step into the lioness because that's really, it's already calling to me and I just need to take the next step. So we're going to be that this year. Okay. So this has been really fun. I think a lot of people are like, hold on, there's more. All right, Taylor, where can people find you, work with you, get to know, they're like, okay, hold on, I got to step into this seductress archetype. Where can they go to learn more about this?
Yeah, so my website is upgradewithtaylor.com, and you can find the quiz on the website. And actually that is held with me and my colleague, Sarah D'Angelo. So you'll see some emails come in from both of us, and there'll be like a breakdown of all the archetypes and what you got, and it'll be super fun. It's a really fun experience. On Instagram, I'm at TayFem, and then on Facebook, I have a private group, free group. It's called the Activated Woman Collective, and we have lots of beautiful trainings and challenges and devotions, and it's a really beautiful place.
Cool. Love that. Free group. All those will be in the show notes below. So at TayFem on Instagram. Okay. So bold, executable, intrinsic, targeted steps people could take to be it till they see it.
Whew. I think the biggest thing is leaving fear at the door and just doing it anyway. Because the truth is that you're never going to be ready. If you wait to be ready, you will be waiting your entire life. But when you put the red dress on and you go ferociously and powerfully in the direction of your dreams, you cannot miss. You will not lose. And there will be times that are hard, and you have to be courageous enough to get through them. And you are. And that's the piece I really want to drive home too, is you are. You are strong enough. You are courageous enough. You really can get through it. And on the other side, it's really magical. And I really, really want you to get there.
Taylor, thank you so much. I mean, when you say that you have so much conviction, it's because you say it from a place of experience and you are living it as well. And so I do think a lot of people can say just do it despite of fear, but you have actually done that with the things you've overcome in your life. So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for taking us on this journey. I am filling my femme. I'm filling all my stuff. This lioness is ready to rock. Watch the CEO take over. Everyone, do me a huge favor. And Taylor, tag at TayFem and the Beit Pod with what your takeaways were, what your favorite part of this podcast was. How are you going to use these things in your life? We want to know. I know that we will definitely be cheering you on from the sidelines, and also it's how more people hear this message. And think about it, if all the women surrounding you were doing these things, wouldn't it be so much freaking easier to do these things? So we have to change the collective that we're in, because otherwise we're surrounded by the people with the old messaging. So this is how you change your friends' minds, so you can change your minds and be it till you see it.
Thank you so much, my queen.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Fraterelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Perdoso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally, to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.